Those are resultants of reality. But if you allow yourself to observe beyond the resultants, you will observe reality, which is the constancy and continuity of existence. That is reality. And in that reality, then, you will observe that regardless of choice, regardless of decision, regardless of circumstance of existence, that the you that is you is constant and continuous, and as a result exists. Now, this perspective then would lead you eventually to appreciating that which you are is in truth nothing more than an effect of reality. You are an effect within reality. Not an affect, but an effect within reality. And as a result, therefore, you can, if you choose, change and alter reality. Now, as we suggested in the first session, reality is not fixed. It is not definable. It does not have boundaries and limits as you would like to establish. It can be observed, perceived, but even the observation is based on filters that oftentimes limit the observation. So that for most individuals, the majority of that which they can do is to observe the effects of reality. Well, if you can observe the effects of reality, and you are an effect of reality, then you can observe yourselves. And if you choose to observe yourselves, you will observe the continuity and the constancy of yourself. And as a result, therefore, can, through this observation, gain an expanded perspective of reality, of what is reality. Now, if you observe yourselves as ego personalities, you will observe that you see yourselves with a beginning, a middle, and an end. And when you move through memories that go beyond this beginning, middle, and end, you will observe that even those memories are defined on the basis of beginning, middle, and end. And as a result, therefore, you would have a perspective that existence has a beginning, a middle, and an end. But if you allow to yourself to observe beyond the beginning, middle, and end, you would recognize that between beginnings is the beginnings, middle, and ends of other beginnings, middle, and ends. And as a result, therefore, regardless of how you position these existences, these movements, these circumstances of existences, there is a constancy and continuity to existence. It simply shifts from one form to another form, from one perspective to another perspective. And in the shifting, then, you will begin to appreciate that reality is constant and is continuous. Now, it could be said that constancy and continuousness are limits. And some would perceive constancy as being a limit. And we would suggest set aside the limitation, the perception of limitation. For constancy does not mean sameness, does not mean consistency, does not mean no change, no alteration. Far from it. Constancy is, in effect, a state of beingness. Continuous can also be defined as limited, for continuous is limited to non-continuousness. That which is limited is not unlimited. That which is unlimited is not limited. And from one perspective, it could be said that these are definable limits. But set aside the need to define, to limit continuousness, and observe that continuity or continuousness exists regardless of the state of being. It simply is. And as a result, it is a beingness within a beingness. And when you observe constancy and continuousness in your existence, you will therefore observe reality. That which you will observe, of course, will be the manifestation of that reality. And in the manifestation it is ever-changing, ever-flowing, always altering. But look beyond the manifestation, and you will see continuousness and constancy. And that, dear friends, is what reality is. And that is what you are. If you observe yourselves carefully, you will perceive that that is what you are. There is a desire on the part of most individuals, the majority of individuals in this third-dimensional reality, to define themselves as separate from everything. There is a necessity. Each separate from the other, such that in the separateness then you maintain your uniqueness. The fear is that without separateness there would not be differences, there would not be uniqueness. But in reality, when you observe constancy and continuousness, you will observe that regardless of the constancy and the continuousness, there is uniqueness in every moment of reality, in every aspect of reality. And that separateness does not define uniqueness. It enhances it, but it does not define it. Separateness, defining the self as separate from everything else, it simply gives you a perspective, something to look at, that allows you then to explore certain aspect of reality without getting the brain too muddled up with everything else that reality is. You see yourselves as incapable of perceiving all of reality at once. So you look to take little chunks of reality and look at those little chunks, each chunk at a time, in the hopes that eventually you will have uncovered all of reality. Now, this particular perspective has benefit. However, the one benefit that it does have is that it does lead you to many thousands of lifetimes. It leads you to explore existence from a third-dimensional perspective thousands and thousands of times. Why is it that most individuals incarnate into a familiar environment? That question has never been asked of us. Not once has anyone asked us why it is that individuals choose to incarnate in familiar environments.